Hey, good evening, everybody. It's the Fantasy Sports Boss with a very loaded, packed live stream night game preview tonight's Monday night game as we put a bow on Week 10, and of course discuss all the big time performances and also the bust performances led by Tony Pollard, who now really looks like a lost cause. We're going to go into all of that. There was no live stream, wrap-up stream last night, so I wanted to do that today. Plus, go over the injury report, news of the day, all of that. So make sure you're comfortable because this is going to be a long stream tonight. I'm definitely going to have to pace myself. No screaming about Aaron Jones tonight. Gotta be able to get through all this today. But of course, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, as they say at the beginning. And then we're going to go from there. So I hope everybody is okay. I hope week 10 was good for you. I had arguably my best total week, both of my leagues of the season. I finally ended the 4-game losing streak in my friends and family league. I won going away. I'm actually in competition for the high score. If I would have not played Taysom Hill and would have played Trey McBride of the Cardinals, then I would have, and I knew that was going to happen. I said that during the stream. I said, watch that. I'm going to play Taysom Hill after he's reeled off a month of big games, and then he's going to do jack shit. And that's exactly what happened, right? I mean, I could have told you that. The same stuff always. But definitely going to go through. I'm going to pull that up now. Let me pull up the scores from yesterday. And, as far as this morning, when I put out that video this morning, I didn't include, I failed to include Tony Pollard, even though I should have. But we're going to talk a lot about him at the start of the day because, and I put the poll up there, and it's pretty much a landslide now. Is Tony Pollard the biggest bust of the season, considering his late first-round status? And when you factor in he did not miss any time with injury. Now, listen, you could call somebody a bust that you spend a first or second-round draft pick on that winds up getting hurt. You can call Nick Chubb a bust, right? Because he didn't deliver on his numbers because he got hurt. But that's a little bit unfair because this is a game where 100% of the players get hurt. So Chubb's time was up, basically, in terms of the injury. So that's unfair to call him a bust. Performance-wise, before he got hurt, he was fine. Tony Pollard hasn't been hurt, and yet he's shit the bed pretty much every week with the exception of week 1. And against that same Giants team, the only time he scored a touchdown week 1, he failed to do anything. And Rico Dowdle, his backup, winds up scoring. Michael Gallup scores. Brandon Cook scores. CeeDee Lamb scores. Dak Prescott on the ground. Everybody scores. And nothing from Tony Pollard. But like I said, we're going to go through all of this tonight and go through the injury report. Down 20 with Allen, you should get that. Yes, I would imagine you should get that. I mean, Denver's defense, they're better. They're playing better. But, I think you should get there. Was Pollard worth trading Puka for? There's still a pull to buy low on him. And listen, it's been bad. But if somebody offered him to me at like 10 cents on the dollar, I still would bite. Just because, we saw how good he was last year. Now, listen, he had a serious injury that ended last season. Is that still inhibiting him? He looks a step slow to me. Is it the workload? He's gotten a lot of carries, right? That, he doesn't have Ezekiel Elliott to spell him. So is that a factor as well? Mike McCarthy has blown the doors open on this passing offense. No doubt he hears the chatter, and maybe he got spoken to by Jerry Jones. It wouldn't be surprising at all. Listen, you got to throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb, or else your job's going to be in jeopardy. And look what happened. Like Dak Prescott, what Dak Prescott is doing, and I've been very hard on him, is insane. Like the numbers are just like beyond something you can comprehend. That's how good they've been. Not a good day for me yesterday. My 6-2 is now 6-4. Yeah, man. Listen, Ray, I was there. I was absolutely there. I'm 8-2 in my work league, on pace for 180 points. Like, that team is loaded. I got Eckler. I got, TJ Hawkinson. I have Mike Evans. Josh Allen hasn't even played. Like, that team is loaded. It's probably the best fantasy team I've ever had. I had, Tyler Lockett in both of my leagues. He had a good day. Good job, Ed. 5-5. Awesome. And yes, we do welcome back Justin Jefferson next week. Hey, Justin. Achane over Breece Hall this week. Yeah, I discussed Breece Hall this morning, the whole situation with, and already we've gotten Robert Saleh today saying that Zach Wilson is going to play again this week. I mean, and really, they don't have any options. Like, what are they going to do? Promote Trevor Siemian? We've seen Trevor Siemian before. It's not much better than Zach Wilson. At least Zach Wilson can move around a little bit, which Siemian can't. I mean, it's just bad. And the fact that the Jets didn't even want any part of Carson Wentz is very telling in and of itself. All right, so we talked about the New England game. Let's start with Houston and Cincinnati. So the Texans, listen, we need, when the flex scheduling comes out, we need to see the Texans, right? I mean, this team, if you have a Sunday ticket, it's become very obvious that not only is C.J. Stroud the leading contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he's going to win the award going away. He's now in the MVP discussion. Now, I don't think he's going to get it. The voters will probably just give him the Offensive Rookie of the Year and then pick somebody else for MVP. But honestly, who's been more responsible and which team has been the biggest surprise? You can answer C.J. Stroud at Houston Texans. Like, Stroud has been that good. And here's the thing about Stroud. He is lifting everybody in this offense. Like, Noah Brown went absolutely ballistic yesterday. Noah Brown was the pickup of the week. I mean, hands down. Noah Brown leads 7 for 172. So C.J. Stroud is bringing that out of Noah Brown, who nobody owned prior to the season. Tank Dell, 6 for 56 and a touchdown. It continues for him. Dalton Schultz, I said all summer, I got hit on it in September when he did nothing. Stay the course, 4 for 71. Dalton Schultz is running as many routes for a tight end as there is in the entire National Football League. Like, Schultz has been that active in the passing game. So, it is just astounding to me what C.J. Stroud has done. He threw his second interception of the season yesterday. Unlike him to do that, but 356 more yards. Like, it's beyond crazy what he's doing. Now, listen, I was a big fan of his in college, a big fan in the draft. I wrote a glowing report on him in my draft guide that came out, my draft guide book. But even I can't even fathom what he's doing right now. Like, just shocking. So, and then Devin Singletary, who does absolutely nothing last week in that monstrous offensive game. He pulled a Tony Pollard last week for the Texans, 30 carries for 150 yards and a score. Now, Dameon Pierce, we hardly knew you. So even if Pierce comes back, this is still going to be, at worst, a 60-40 split for Singletary, who is now squarely in that flex mode. Dameon Pierce, last season is nothing but a memory right now. Seriously, Nico Collins. We didn't even mention Nico Collins. He missed the game, but how good has Nico Collins been this season? And he showed flashes last year, but now he's got a quarterback who throws him to him on time. And I repeat myself on this, but I can't help it. I haven't seen a quarterback throw open receivers like C.J. Stroud does since Andrew Luck. Like, it's uncanny, his accuracy. Like, we're talking Troy Aikman accuracy, right? And seeing the field, seeing the openings, the break on the route before it's even done. Like, you can't teach that. And that's what C.J. Stroud has. Well, Russell Wilson, let's get me 25 tonight. Is going to be close. I'm not sure about that. Is Kupp a good buy low? Yeah, I think Kupp is a good buy low. Joe Burrow, 27 of 43, 47. He threw a couple of costly interceptions. Tyler Boyd, who had a big game, dropped a short touchdown, or else it would have changed the tenor of the game for both of them. 2 more touchdown passes, though, and they get the Baltimore Ravens on a short week. T. Higgins is not going to play again this Thursday. Gutty effort for Jamar Chase. 5 for 124 and a score, but Boyd 8 for 117. So, typically in the past, Tyler Boyd has been like Josh Palmer, right? One of the 2 starters goes out and he comes in and he balls out. Last season, we didn't see that from Boyd when Chase and Higgins missed time. Now we're starting to see that again. So that's a good sign. Tyler Boyd can continue to be used as a flex option. Trade away K9 for Adams. I wouldn't. I still don't trust Davante Adams. I know they made a concerted effort to get him the ball, but K9 is still holding off Charbonnet. Mostert to the moon this week, or 50-50 split with Achane. He's going to split with Achane. Also, Jeff Wilson is going to be somewhat involved as well. That's why I keep thinking Achane should be a sell high. Would you play Trenton Irwin again? Yeah, he was 2 for 54. that it was very big play dependent. And here's the thing too, Robert Woods is now going to be pushed down by Noah Brown. That you could take that to the bank. All right, Minnesota 27-19. The Vikings are now 6-4. Kevin O'Connell should be squarely in the coach of the year conversation. It is amazing what's going on here with Josh Dobbs. Like 23 of 34, 268 and a touchdown, runs for a score, 44 on the ground. Last week, I put that video out. I think Josh Dobbs could be a top 12 guy the rest of the way. He might even be a top 10 guy, maybe even better. And here's the thing with Josh Dobbs. Anybody that saw Josh Dobbs, with Tennessee, with Pittsburgh, every time he played, he looked terrible. Like he has shown none of those struggles during both his stints with Arizona and now with Minnesota. Like, it's just crazy how good he's playing. And I tried to think of a guy history-wise who was a late bloomer, a journeyman guy who took a number of years to get going, and then he turned out to be, a really, really good player. And the name that I came up with was Rich Gannon. Anybody remembers Rich Gannon when he first came into the NFL? He was sort of a journeyman backup at Minnesota and Kansas City. And then he got his opportunity with the Raiders and then flourished and became a yearly Pro Bowl talent. That's what Josh Dobbs reminds me of. A very similar game too. Good accuracy, underrated speed, and now he's going to get Justin Jefferson back as well. Just crazy stuff. Oh, Bougie, it was really good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Up by 38, and he has Josh Allen and Kincaid. Oh, I don't think you're going to hold him off, Bougie. I hate to say it. I would say if I'm a betting man, I think you might lose that one. Josh Dobbs doing things. Yeah, Josh Dobbs. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. I've never, since Rich Gannon, how this guy in 2 locations in the same season is playing this good. He's delivering the ball on time. He's playing with confidence. I mean, TJ Hawkinson, my goodness. And that's why one of the reasons why I'm 8-2 in my work league. For a guy who they said, and again, this is another example. I had put that video out reluctantly Sunday morning. TJ Hawkinson's going to be on a snap count. The Sunday morning reports, we have to just ignore from now on. Like, a lot of times, it's almost like these guys need something to say on Sunday, and they just put out stuff that turns out to be completely not true. And TJ Hawkinson, perfect example, 11 for 134 and a touchdown. He is right behind Travis Kelce, and I think ahead of Mark Andrews this season among the tight end hierarchy. And it's been a deeper tight end class this year with these rookies that have come in. But yeah, Taysom Hill laid it done, no doubt about it. But TJ Hawkinson, amazing. Jordan Addison, 4 for 69, all in the first half. He had Marshawn Lattimore, who wound up getting hurt in that one. I gave you Brandon Powell. He went 4 for 35. Not terrible, but not great either. Michael Thomas is hurt again, guys. He's got a knee injury. Of course, the Saints have a bye, but Michael Thomas he's now borderline droppable, in my opinion. He had the no-catch game, and now he winds up getting hurt. Like, he's getting to that point now where and he's lost a step, right? The guy was an unbelievable talent, and that's what keeps myself and a lot of people coming back to him. That the memories of how awesome he was in a PPR league when he first came into the league makes us suckers for him. I know I do it, but I think it's time we can just finally push him completely in the past. Chris Olave, 6 for 94 and a score. And here's the other thing. So Derek Carr goes out with the shoulder and the concussion. And Jameis Winston comes in and does his Jameis Winston thing. He's throwing the ball all over the field, air yards galore, chucking it, all the way down the field. Him and Olave, it's like Mike Evans and Winston in Tampa Bay. So if you're an Olave owner, you want Winston out there. And not for nothing, they paid him a lot of money. Derek Carr has not played well. He's checking down everything. And it's, if you're Alvin Kamara owners, you love it. Kamara, 7 for 33, another 7 catches in this cheat code PPR year. He's having 9 for 42 on the ground. But listen, Derek Carr, he looks terrible. He's banged up a lot. He's had a lot of injuries that he's fought through the last couple of years. So maybe that's part of the reason his play has fallen off, but he's checking it down way too much. And this is not a good thing for a Chris Olave owner or Olave's potential, because he's such a good deep threat and Carr just is not getting him the ball. Would you trade Aaron Jones and Ridley to get Adams? No, I probably wouldn't do that. It's a little bit too much. Once the mustache came off Arthur Smith. Yeah, we're going to get to Arthur Smith. Don't worry. So Tyson Chandler came in for a concussed Alexander Madison. Madison's probably not going to play. So Tyson Chandler, who we'll talk more about tomorrow, 15 of 45 and a touchdown. Listen, you want pieces of this offense. Like, I mean, the Vikings have been so good that all of these players attached to the offense have significant fantasy value. And how about, again, Josh Dobbs, what looked like a completely bleak, ugly situation with Kirk Cousins going out for the year. And as a Jefferson owner and a Hawkinson owner in two separate leagues, I thought, oh my God, like these guys, their values can go in the toilet. Jefferson's never going to come back. And Dobbs has saved the season, saved the fantasy value of all of these guys. Hey, SC, how are you? Oh, Hawaii. Wow, we got a Hawaiian here. Aloha to you too, and welcome. Pittsburgh Steelers moved to 6-3. If you don't realize that Mike Tomlin is arguably the best coach in the NFL, not named Bill Belichick, I don't know what you're watching. Like, he is taking a team with Kenny Pickett, who is just, and I don't mean to pick on the kid, but he's awful. He's not the answer. They're gonna have to find a quarterback, and even with a late first round pick, they might be able to get, a Shadur Sanders or a JJ McCarthy. I think they're going to have to do that. Is Devin Singletary worth the waiver pickup? Rain, the offense is doing really well. He had a dud last week, looked good this week, but Dameon Pierce is going to come back. I wouldn't go crazy on Singletary. We know his drawbacks. This was a great game for him, no doubt about it, but I think this is going to be more shaky outings than good ones. And Keenan Allen, so winning big. I'm up ahead in the standings enough. I hope he sits out to get healthy. And he's beat up, Sean, and we're going to get to that game too. Kincaid on bench and last player, Diggs. It should be okay with Diggs. Now, the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, 21 of 40. We saw some positives, but also the negatives. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, this offense is not good. I'm not even going to talk about Christian Watson again because there's no point. If you didn't listen to me in the summer and you drafted him anyway, when I screamed to the Raptors not to do so, pointing out that most of his points came in 4 games last year with Aaron Rodgers, then I couldn't help you. I don't like these guys, these weekly boomer bust guys like Christian Watson. I want the consistency. Give me Keenan Allen every week with his 5, listen, this year has been even better for him, but historically, his 5 to 6 catches every week for 70 yards, as opposed to Christian Watson, who once a month will go 5 for 120 and a score, and then the other 3 games, 2 catches for 15 yards. So, Jaden Reed, 5 for 84 and a touchdown. He looks like a player. I like what I saw from him. Romeo Dobbs scored, but only 3 for 31. Now, when it comes to the Steelers, I hate to say it, but Najee Harris is actually playing really well. If you look at his PPR points, he's been double digits pretty much every game for like the last 7 games. 5.1 per carry yesterday. Like, when do you remember Najee Harris having that gaudy of an average? 16 of 82 and a score. Jaylen Warren, who we all know is more explosive, and he too has been double digits every week in fantasy PPR. 15 of 101 and a score. Ripping off 6.7 per carry. As far as the receptions, Warren had 2 for 9. Harris 3 for 14. So they're doing the PPR thing. And Mike Tomlin has a winning formula with these two, and he's going to continue to do it. We were all worried, if you're a Najee Harris fan, Jaylen Warren's going to put a major hurting on his value, right? Jaylen Warren's going to be his job at some point. No, they've managed, like the Detroit Lions, they've managed to incorporate 2 backs and make them both fantasy relevant. Back to 500. Good job, Bryce. Keep at it, man. That's what you got to do. Kyler Murray did look good, but I am happy with what I'm seeing, at least from the running game. Now, Deontay Johnson, major step back after his awesome game last week, but that's just because Kenny Pickett is struggling. He's just, is it the small hands? We don't know. He's a good athlete, but it's just not happening. All right. Tampa Bay hanging in there. They're 4-6. They beat the Titans. And remember, guys, I said after Will Levis's 4-touchdown debut, I said, pump the brakes. He has accuracy issues coming out of college, decision-making issues. Even though he played in a pro-style offense, he did not have a good year for Kentucky his last year in college. So I'm not surprised that he struggled as much as he has the last couple of weeks. No touchdowns again. Threw an interception, took 4 sacks. He looked indecisive. When the sacks pile up for rookies, they're not seeing the field well. And that's what's happening with Levis. He is not a starting option for me. And it really took a major toll on Derrick Henry, who's 11 for 24, like a complete dud. And this is the problem with Derrick Henry. As great as he's always been, the fact that he doesn't catch the football means he has to get 70 yards and a score to have a good fantasy week. And obviously he didn't do either one of that. Rachaad White continues his renaissance. The last month and a half, he's been good from a point score total, not pure rushing. He was 20 for 51, which is terrible, 2.6 a carry, but he scored a touchdown through the air, 2 catches for 47 yards. So Rachaad White, basically doing the Alvin Kamara, like the Alvin Kamara light, catching a lot of passes out of the backfield. Not so, lately he's 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks, so he is chipping in with the touchdowns as well. Really, really liking what I'm seeing from him. Mike Evans, 6 for 143 in the score. Mike Evans doing his Mike Evans thing. When he blows up, there are few players in the NFL you could probably count on one hand. When he has these blow up weeks, that there's few that are better. He's going to get another 1,000 yards. It's just amazing. One of the greatest stats that nobody talks about is him beginning his career with all of these 1,000-yard seasons. Like, just, he's knocking on the Hall of Fame's door, Mike Evans. And he's relegated Chris Godwin to nothing, 4 for 54. And it's funny, when the season started, and I was part of this group too, I thought Chris Godwin would be the more valuable because you figured Baker Mayfield, he's going to throw it short. That was his proclivity with Cleveland, throwing the short passes, and that, lined up better with Chris Godwin, not Mike Evans. But Mike Evans has been the guy from the very beginning of the season. And, man, just an awesome day for Evans for sure. Rachaad White catching a lot of passes. San Francisco 34-3. This game was just complete demolition. They really took the Jaguars to the shed. I mean, it was... There's a lot to unpack about this one. One is that with a full complement of weapons, with Deebo Samuel back, who had a rushing touchdown, really opened up the rest of the offense. Brandon Ayuk with a touchdown catch. George Kittle went crazy in this one. Usually Kittle, when both Samuel and Ayuk are in the fold, sometimes he gets forgotten about. Now, we only caught 3 passes, but they went for 116 yards in the score. Like, he's the most athletic tight end in the league, I think. He's a yards after the catch monster, and he made the most of his opportunities. Christian McCaffrey didn't even score in this one, but he was 16 and 95 on the ground, 6 for 47 through the air. Like, the guy is just insane. Like, if you're a Christian McCaffrey owner, and I have to tell you, I have never owned Christian McCaffrey in my life in fantasy, not one time. I've never been in position to get him up until last year when I took Jonathan Taylor with the first overall pick, the only time I've ever had the top pick. But, man, he is just so good. Now, Brock Purdy, one of the stars of the day, 19 of 26, 296 and 3 scores. So Brock Purdy is back on track. And I think he's got protection. The defense really helped him out. Like, the defense was scary with Chase Young. And this is a Jaguars team that, came into the game with all of these offensive players and, playing relatively well, a 6-2 record coming in, and they had no chance. Trevor Lawrence, 17 out of 29, 2 interceptions. He's doing nothing. I think he had two and change fantasy points. This is the number 1 overall pick a couple of years ago. Now, we all gave him, the mulligan with Urban Meyer, but what's the excuse this year? And I have to tell you, I thought he was a can't miss guy, and I'm not alone. Like, he was the best quarterback prospect for me since Andrew Luck, and that's heady praise. Sean, a lot of people had that too. Hey, Beats, how are you? So I don't understand it. Now, Doug Peterson's not calling the plays this time around. He did last year. Maybe that has something to do with it, but Trevor Lawrence looks like ass. He's got all the tools you want. He's made in a quarterback factory. Monster arm, an absolute gun. He can run. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. I don't have any answers on this. The offensive line has been great, but I'm not going to blame it on that. Is he not seeing the field? I don't know. I don't understand. But when you have these weapons that he has, it's inexcusable. Christian Kirk, the only one that did anything, 6 for 104. Calvin Ridley, 2 for 20. I said on the video this morning, I took the loss on Calvin Ridley. Absolutely took the L. Lay it on me. Guilty as charged. Did not see this coming. Like, I really thought Calvin Ridley was going to go bonkers. Maybe that, the Christian Kirk chemistry he had with Lawrence last year just simply carried over. I don't know. But even Evan Ingram yesterday, 4 for 12. Still catching 4 passes a game, but not doing much with them. Does he even have a score? I can't think off the top of my head. I don't think he has one. Yeah, I don't blame you for benching Tilo. I get it. Matt Stroud, unbelievable performance once again. Next, Drew Brees. Yeah, it could be. Travis Etienne, 9 for 35 on the ground, 2 for 9 in the passing game. Listen, we could give Travis Etienne a pass. I mean, he's been one of the best, if not the best running back in fantasy this year. For a guy who has his own injury history, pronounced injury history, like I can't hate on Travis Etienne. If there is even a smidge of a buy low, then yeah, I would do it. All right, Cleveland Browns. So this was a statement game by the Cleveland Browns. And Deshaun Watson did not miss a pass, 14 for 14 in the second half. They upend the Ravens 33-31. There's a lot to unpack on this one. Let's start with the winning side. Deshaun Watson, 20 of 34, 213, a touchdown and interception, ran for 37 yards. So again, the fantasy points haven't been jumping off the page. But I said last week, I think he's getting there now. He's looking more comfortable. He seems like he's getting his confidence back. All the self-inflicted wounds that he put on himself, totally his fault. The guy's a scumbag, let's face it. Has the hottest girlfriend in the world, and he does that. But I digress. He's playing well, and he's starting to motivate this team. This Cleveland team is really good. I mean, this division is unbelievably loaded. The Bengals are in last place, which is just crazy. But even Jerome Ford, 17 for 107. Kareem Hunt was 10 for 32. He got a touchdown. So Ford's not getting the goal line carries. Amari Cooper, 6 for 98. Amari Cooper quietly is having a terrific season. David Njoku, 6 for 58. Over the last month, Njoku's been a top 10 to 12 tight end. So, I mean, he's lifting everybody now. It's a really impressive recent stretch for the Browns. Now, as far as the Ravens, listen, I'm a Lamar Jackson owner in one of my leagues. 13 of 23, 223, a touchdown, 2 picks, ran for 41 yards. 7 of the last 8 touchdowns have been not involving Lamar Jackson. It's been old Gus Edwards. Keaton Mitchell had a score yesterday on, it's unbelievable. So what made Lamar Jackson so great in fantasy was the running, right? Was keeping the ball around the goal line. Like Jalen Hurts continues to do with the Eagles. That's what Lamar Jackson always did up until this season. Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett, both day to day. So that just came out. As far as Jackson is concerned, listen, the frustration is at an all-time high. He has not been good for a month now. He had that 5-touchdown bonanza last month. And other than that, it's been awful. Like, I found myself saying so many curse words watching that game yesterday. Like I felt like I had to go to confession. Here's what I think is going on to an extent. I think Todd Monken, we were all excited about Todd Monken, right? He's did great things in Tampa, no doubt about it. I believe he's not drawing plays for Lamar Jackson around the goal line. I think he's worried about him getting hurt. Jackson has gotten hurt the last 2 years. So it's understandable. They don't play fantasy, right? Arthur Smith made that abundantly clear. So around the goal line, he's like, Monken thinks, okay, I need to keep my quarterback healthy. We're going to give it to Gus Edwards. And to be fair, Gus Edwards is doing the job. Like, why change it if it's working? I get that from a football perspective. From a fantasy perspective, it's really fucking annoying if you're a Jackson owner like myself. I told you about in my friends and family league, I was so desperate I had to make it. I traded Jalen Hurts for Lamar Jackson and Garrett Wilson. And I thought it was, a good deal. And Garrett Wilson has been solid, but he's not scoring touchdowns. Jackson's not scoring touchdowns. But I needed to do something to save my season. after a 5-0 start, dropping to 5-4. And I was able to win this week. So finally I stopped it. But yeah, and I've been I've owned Lamar Jackson each of the last, now this is 3 years in a row, now that I have him again. I had him as MVP year. Like, it was crazy how good he was in fantasy that year. But I think that Lamar Jackson may not be in the cards the rest of the way, which is very frustrating. And speaking of Gus Edwards, I mean, he was 11 for 24, 2.2 a carry, but he scores again. Like, he's doing the Jamal Williams Detroit Lions thing from last year. Yeah, you got to play Josh Dobbs with Jefferson for sure. Keaton Mitchell only got 3 carries, but he scored 3 for 34. Like, he's making the most. And I said this before. He's Devin Achane light. It works. He's got that explosive home run speed no matter where he is on the field. Zay Flowers, 5 for 73. Nice comeback game for him, but he's not scoring touchdowns. Mark Andrews, 2 for 44, a complete dud. Odell, 1 catch for 40 yards. It went for a touchdown. Rashad Bateman, 2 for 25. So nobody did much of anything yesterday for them. All right, Arizona. How about this? They're not tanking, it looks like, for Caleb Williams. Kyler Murray looked like Kyler Murray. I was pleasantly surprised how good he looked. 25-23 victors. Excuse me, over the Atlanta Falcons. And we're going to get to the Falcons in a second. Don't worry. It's our weekly tradition to bash Arthur Smith. I was a little leery about throwing Kyler Murray out there. I do have him on the bench as my backup in one of my leagues. 19 of 32, 249, no touchdowns, threw a pick, but he ran for 33 yards and a score. So he's still doing Kyler Murray things. And this passing game, and he's always been one to throw to his tight end, monster game for the second time in 3 weeks for Trey McBride, 8 for 131. This is a wide receiver and a tight end body. All right. Madison for Keaton. Yeah, I don't know about that. Might be stretching it a little bit. I don't think Keaton's is going to get enough work. Should hold Kyler Murray. I have Stroud. Hold him as a backup. He's good insurance. Trey McBride, I picked him up in both of my leagues. So now, listen, I didn't play him in one of the leagues yesterday, but I won them both, so it's fine. But even when Zach Ertz comes back, I think Zach Ertz has to be the backup. Like, Trey McBride is that good. There's like if anybody watched that game, and I know I can't expect a lot of people to watch Arizona Cardinals, but he has some Travis Kelce light ability. The speed jumps off the page for a tight end. Great hands, great route runner. Now, he sucked everything up from Marquise Brown. I knew Marquise Brown was going to have a tough time. A.J. Terrell, 1 catch for 28 yards. You told me to buy low. Yes, A.J. Terrell can shut down anybody. It's the long-term plan. All right? James Conner, come back for him. 16 of 73, wasn't involved in the passing game. I think this is the floor. He will be involved with the passing game going forward. Like, good outing for him. 4.6 per carry, very healthy there. Now, as far as the Falcons, Taylor Heineke gets hurt. Desmond Ridder comes in. They throw 1 touchdown between them. Bijan Robinson, maybe Arthur Smith finally is listening. 22 carries for 95 yards and a score. Only 1 catch for 11 yards, though. But here's the thing. And I don't mean to pick on Tyler Algier. He has just about the same amount of carries and touches as Bijan Robinson, which is just fucking ludicrous. Like, you spend that draft capital on Bijan Robinson and you split touches with Tyler Algier. And the best part of yesterday is that it was another loss for Atlanta. So that makes it that much closer for Arthur Smith to get fired. That is what we need. And here, guys, it doesn't matter who comes in next year as coach. We are all going to trip over each other to draft Drake London, to draft Kyle Pitts, to draft Bijan Robinson, because whoever comes in next year is going to get all of them involved. They have to. Nobody could be this stupid. Drake London, 3 for 36. Kyle Pitts, 3 for 30. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I just don't understand it. I never will understand it. The guy thinks he's God's gift to football. Like, just shut up. All right, I said I wouldn't yell today. Let's get to Detroit, Los Angeles. So the Chargers, another team that you just throw your hands up. I mean, they are so badly coached. It's unbelievable. I know they have a lot of injuries on offense, but you have Justin Herbert. And I'm calling it now. If I'm Bill Belichick, and I think it's over in New England, this is the team I want to go to. He has a franchise quarterback there in Justin Herbert. He has pieces on offense and defense. Don't tell me that if Belichick, if he goes there, that he's not going to have that team knocking on the AFC West championship door. He's going to be right there. So, yes, Pittman has been really good, and he's been a great value rise. Justin Herbert is unbelievably good. And yesterday, this was a massive shootout in every sense of the word. Herbert, 27 of 40, 323, 4 touchdowns and an interception. Keenan Allen, my former friend, 11 for 175 and 2 touchdowns. He gutted through a shoulder injury. Like, Keenan Allen is just balling the fuck out. I own Keenan Allen every year, like since he was born. I faded him this year because his metrics last year weren't good. He got hurt, 31 years old. Everything was declining. Multiple year decline in separation, yards per catch, depth, average depth of target, like all of that was declining, but he has turned back the clock this year. And his younger counterpart, who has the same kind of game, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 for 156 in a score. So he's, I think he up to 5 or 4 touchdowns now. He's got to get that to 8. I want him to get to 8 so he can be permanently classified as a wide receiver 1 in all leagues. He needs that for standard. All right. Sam Laporta, 4 for 40, coming back to earth a little bit. But listen, the Chargers don't have anybody besides Keenan Allen in the passing game. You know, Gerald Everett got hurt. He's week to week, day to day. Yes. So a little late. Any news on Fournette? No, I haven't seen anything on Fournette. I don't even think he's activated. Now, Jared Goff was good. If you're a Jared Goff owner, you had to be frustrated seeing all those, rushing touchdowns early on. But let's get to the Detroit runners. A lot has been made, the comparison about Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara with New Orleans, and I think it fits perfectly. You know, you had Montgomery in the Kamara role, Montgomery in the Ingram role, and Gibbs in the Kamara role. And how about this? Jahmyr Gibbs got 2 goal line carries, and he cashed in. 14 of 77, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 3 for 35 through the air. This is the guy who I said in the summer, even though I had some reservations, fear, whatever you want to call it, about him being a third down back, he had the perfect PPR game. All right. And they babied him a little bit early on, maybe more than a little bit. And now it is exploding all over the place. David Montgomery had the one, my God, did you see that touchdown run he had? That was crazy. Not like him to have a run like that. 12 for 116 and a touchdown. He's not involved in the passing game, even though he's capable of that. But David Montgomery, all he does is score touchdowns. Now, if you're a Montgomery owner, you're still playing him. He's a strong running back too, even if Gibbs is making it, getting 50% of the touches. Keenan is injury prone, but, and he's older. But, when he's on the field, he's as good as it gets. David Montgomery has, I've always had a soft spot for him. Just great game for him. Austin Eckler, 19 of 67 and a touchdown, 4 of 48. He has a complete hammerlock on goal line touches for the 3rd season in a row. Austin Eckler, just amazing stuff for him. The Giants. I am a Giants fan, as you all know. This is beyond embarrassing. Like, this is paper bag over your head stuff. 49-17. The Giants are embarrassing themselves, calling timeout late in the game so they can get another touchdown. Like, I mean, what are you doing? The game is over. Like, we have had some god-awful, really, it's like the last decade. Take out last season only. It has been that bad and embarrassing to be a Giants fan. And that's where we're at again. They're going to have to start over. Daniel Jones is done. And how about Saquon Barkley? You really want to come back to this? I know he wanted that contract extension and coming off the playoff berth, great. But 13 for 66 on the ground and One catch for -5 yards. Do you really want to return to this? This guy's prime is being wasted. It's awful. Now, if you're the Cowboys, Dak Prescott has been the best player in football over the last 3 weeks, last month. 26 of 35, 404, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He runs for a 5th score. Like, just anyone who had Dak Prescott and lost, like, that was almost impossible to believe that you could lose with him yesterday. CeeDee Lamb, 11 for 151 and a score. Brandon Cooks, 9 for 173 and a score. Even Michael Gallup, 2 for 70 and a score. Ferguson, 4 for 26 and a score. So Jay Ferguson basically picking up where Dalton Schultz left off. He's always getting targeted in the red zone. Rico Dowdle rushes for a touchdown. And Tony Pollard just stands on the sideline, watches all this unfold, and does absolutely nothing. Single digits again. It is becoming comical what we are seeing out of Tony Pollard. I can't even believe it. I'm trying to pull up his numbers here. I hate that this pop-up shit on Yahoo, when you try to go to scores, these NFL.com pop-ups, and you exit out and it pops up again. Pollard, 15 for 55. I mean, what is going on there? Like, seriously, what is going on? Like, he was so good last year. Is it really that simple that there's no Ezekiel Elliott to take the pressure off of him? Is he wearing down? Is he still hurt from the injury? I don't know. But it is almost impossible to believe that he's had single-digit PPR numbers in like 5 of the last 6 weeks or 4 of the last 5 weeks. And with this offense playing as well as it is. Yeah, he's got to still be hurt. There's just no rational explanation for this. Now, Seattle, told you this was a get-right game for them. It was. Geno Smith, 369, 2 touchdowns. Great performance from him. Tyler Lockett, my best friend, 8 for 92 and a score. DK Metcalf, 7 for 98. We got to see if Lockett can make it 6 years in a row of 8 touchdown catches. Kenneth Walker took a catch, 64 yards for the score, and it was a good bounce back for Walker overall. Well, I mean, it was only 3.3 per carry, but 19 carries to only 6 for Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet ran for 44 yards on his 6 carries. Walker 63 on 19, but still it was a good outing here. But here's the thing, guys. Sam Howell. Who told you to draft Sam Howell as a backup with massive upside? It was me. I loved Sam Howell in North Carolina. I had it in print when he came out. My draft guide, I said, throw out his last year in college. He had nobody on his offensive line to protect him. He had nobody to throw to him. He had Javonte Williams and Michael Carter graduate. Diami Brown, his best wideout, graduated. He was beat up. This guy was a first-round talent after his junior year. He came back, and then his stock sunk. 29 of 44 yesterday, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he's capable of doing damage on the ground. He's not really doing it. Sam Howell has been, outside of Josh Dobbs, the story of the season at quarterback. Of course, CJ Stroud as well. Outside of those two, he's right there as the story of the year in football. Really, Stroud is on his own level. He's right there with Dobbs as the true breakout guy. And you watch Sam Howell. He makes some bad decisions sometimes. He takes a lot of sacks, but he's gutsy. He's got balls. He's throwing it, putting it in tight windows, good accuracy, hell of an athlete. And of all people, Brian Robinson, 6 for 119 in a score. He put up a wide receiver number for a running back. Added 38 yards on the ground on 8 carries, 4.8 a pop. Like, Brian Robinson's been really good. And here's the thing, at Alabama, he caught 32 passes his last year there. Like, he can catch the football. He's capable of this. They just haven't given him the opportunities. But Brian Robinson is capable of being a really good receiving back. And he's got a plush matchup against the Giants next week. As good as it gets. Finally, Vegas 16-12. Antonio Pierce now 2-0. He has gone back to the drawing board with Josh Jacobs, 27 of 116, had a crucial late fumble. Man, if you lost your fantasy matchup because of that fumble, my heart goes out to you. Jacobs 2 for 11, catching the football. Devontae Adams 6 for 86. So a lot of times, and we saw this with A.J. Brown after his slow start, when these alpha receivers don't get their numbers, they start to complain, and then the offense is designed by the coordinator to get him the ball early in the game, and that's what happened here. Jacoby Myers is a drop candidate now, 2 for 21. That big start is over. Garrett Wilson, gaudy performance, 9 for 93, got beat up, went into the tent, came back. But, that's the extent of it there. He's not scoring touchdowns. The Jets, I think, have gone, 5 games now without scoring a touchdown. It's just pathetic. And, Zach Wilson, he's a young kid. He put himself out there by acting like an absolute jackass with the whole MILF thing and, the not taking accountability. The guy's just a douche. There's just no other way to describe him, and he sucks. So I don't feel bad for him. I feel bad for Tommy DeVito. He didn't ask for this, third stringer, having no protection, nobody to throw to. I feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for Zach Wilson. He's just garbage. And Breece Hall, like Saquon Barkley with the Giants, is being dragged down as well. There's nothing he can do. They're selling out to stop him. 13 of 28 is just brutal on the ground. He caught 3 passes for 47 yards. Got to remind you, McLaurin. Yeah, Jermaine, I agree. Stroud is a top 5 quarterback in fantasy. But as far as the Jets are concerned, guys, there is no hope for this team. Now they have Buffalo. They have Miami the next 2 weeks. Aaron Rodgers says he's going to be back mid-December. Why even bother? Just wait until next year. That's as bad as it gets. The 2 New York teams are the 2 worst offenses outside of New England. And I think Mac Jones is going to be benched, as he should, going forward. All right. So actually, Leonard Fournette is active tonight, guys. So he's not on the inactive list. So that must mean he's out there tonight. So that's good to see. Or is he on the practice squad? And they didn't. I'm not sure. All right, I'm going to go through the injury report real quick. We already know about T. Higgins. He's not going to play. Should I sell Geno Smith for Rashad White? Yes. 100%, definitely. Because you could find a quarterback more than you could find somebody with the workload of Rashad White. Yeah, it's over for Mac Jones in New England. So they gave an estimation. Higgins wasn't going to practice it. He's not going to play this week. So again, go back to the well with Tyler Boyd. So Justin Jefferson, reading the tea leaves, he's going to be back this week. So finally, and he's going back to a really good situation. Matthew Stafford should be ready to play versus the Rams. Maface's Carson Wentz was a chance to upgrade the quarterback room. Someone they brought in Carson Wentz. That's right. Listen, it's better than Brett Rippon, right? So Marshawn Lattimore, high ankle sprain. So whoever's going against the Saints when they come back, that's going to be at least a better matchup for them. No change with the Jets quarterback situation. Just give me a fucking break. God. And Salah's got to go too. That team was completely undisciplined yesterday with their penalties. Jamar Chase's back is improving. Michael Thomas injury was significant, according to Dennis Allen. May not be season ending, but he sounds like he could be a IR guy. So I think Michael Thomas absolutely should be dropped at this point. Ramondre Stevenson, back injury with negative, not considered serious. He's another one of those guys who always plays through injuries. Justin Fields practiced this week, so we'll see about Fields' availability. And if he misses the game, they should just put him on IR. Then again, it's the Bears. They just don't do anything right. Marcus. All right. Alexander Madison concussion protocol. So yeah, we'll talk more about Tyson Chandler tomorrow, about how much we should spend on him in fab money. What are we going to do there? So we'll just have to see there. So all right, now as far as tonight, you have the Bills and the Broncos. The Broncos are playing better. They're starting to shows signs of turning it around. What are they going to do with Russell Wilson in that big contract? He's just going to eat it. You know, if you gave Sean Payton truth serum, and Wilson's played well, let's be fair. He's been better, a lot better. I think, you know, Payton would just want to cut ties and move on, get his own quarterback in there. But they are playing better. And Javonte Williams is now the bell cow back. No more Samaje Perine. Julian McLaughlin was fun while it lasted. But this is now Williams' team. He looks good. As far as the score tonight, I say 27-17, Buffalo. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in fantasy. And really, Pat Mahomes is third with Hurts being second. You know, you could have had those three in any order when it came to drafts, but Allen has been the number one guy. And he's not even running as much as he used to. So that's good to see. But, you know, next Thursday we have the Ravens, Chargers. And I hate the fact that in my friends and family league, I have Lamar Jackson. So already right off the bat, my week could turn to shit. And my opponent has Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. So, you know, I'm going to have to sit through that. I hate those Thursday games when you have players and they don't do well. It just puts you in a bad mood instantly. So we'll have to see. Woo! All right, guys, almost an hour stream. So I think I'm going to log off here. I got some high school football stuff. We play our semifinals this Friday night at Stony Brook University. So no stream Friday, just a reminder. But I will have streams up until then to go over everything that we need. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate that. Super chats, all that good stuff. You guys are the best. You make this fun for me. So, again, I'll be on tomorrow for the Waiver Wire Tuesday, so make sure you check in for that, probably around 6 Eastern time. Until then, guys, enjoy the games tonight. This was fun, and I will see you tomorrow.